Hey everybody, I'm John. I collect cards. It's Thursday night, February 8th. Hope you're all having a great week. In this video, I'm doing a VR for Darren, Return to Collecting, who just surpassed 600 subscribers recently. Fantastic milestone. Congratulations, Darren. I just love watching you share your collection in your videos. You have just some amazing, incredible cards. It's always interesting what you're going to share next. And if I've seen it before and I see it again, it's still just as fantastic as that last time. Thanks for being a part of the community. And, hopefully it's a fast track to 700 and beyond. So in this video, I'm doing this VR, and Darren wanted us to give a shout out and a recommendation for 3 channels who have fewer than 200 subscribers to hopefully maybe kickstart some subs and kind of spread the collecting joy around, and the passion for sharing our collections. I would say, when I got back in the hobby roughly 3.5 years ago, if I didn't start my channel about 2 years ago, I wouldn't be having as much fun collecting now. It's just being able to share the passion and maybe a little bit of knowledge as well, just makes the experience that much more rewarding. Again, congrats Darren on 600. And here are 3 channels who are a little under 200 that would be great if we could, kind of all push, help do our part and get those subs going. The first one I'm going to share here is The Show and Me. He has a really impressive pre-war collection. I think that's his specialty. Don is his name, I believe. As of this, when I checked his channel earlier today, he had 159 subscribers. And his channel's been going for, I think, about a year. And he's done not tons of videos, but maybe, I think, 50 or fewer. But he does maybe 1 or 2 a week, and he just shows some really impressive pre-war cards and all the knowledge that goes with that. So highly recommend you give him a watch. And again, I have links to all these channels down below in the description of this video. Second channel I'm going to share here is Southern Fried Cards. They're at 156 subscribers, at least from earlier today. They are a husband and wife duo who are kind of going down the collecting journey together. I don't know how long they've been collecting. I imagine for many years. But at the same time, I think their channel's fairly new, maybe about a year. And I've seen them comment on a number of channels, including my own, which I thoroughly appreciate, and is fantastic to kind of see their comments and stuff. It's been great kind of welcoming them in a small way, kind of as part of the community. So I hope you do the same. Give them a try and give them a subscribe. I know they do some both modern, current stuff as well as vintage, so it's a mix from what I gather. But good stuff over there. I believe they're out of West Texas, and so give them a look. And then the third channel I have here to offer up is GB's Card Show. He only has 77 subscribers right now. I think it's a pretty new channel. Maybe a little less than a year, maybe 6 to 12 months. I've seen mostly reveals. He's done some pretty big reveals, like large quantities of card submissions to SGC. I think primarily mix of vintage and modern. But pretty cool stuff. So give GB's Card Show a try. Again, links for all 3 down below in the description. And so the other part of this VR for Darren was to share our 2 favorite cards. That is a hard task, actually, to really narrow it down. 1 card, actually pretty easy. 2 cards, difficult. So the 1 card I will share, which I've shared before in a similar kind of video that Wade Boggs fan did, when John asked us to if we had to only have one card in our collection, what would it be? So I kind of look at it the same way. In some ways, this is my favorite card in my collection. It's my 1954 Topps Willie Mays in a SGC3. I bought it raw and got it graded about 3 years ago, or I bought it about 3 years ago, got it graded about 2 years ago, probably now. It was part of my first submission to SGC when I went down the grading road. I've done about 9 or so since. I've got one out to them right now, actually. I'm hoping to get that back next week, maybe. It's just a fantastic card, and it represents that golden age of New York baseball in the 50s. I grew up in New York, and my dad and grandpa were Giants fans. They lived on the Upper East Side way back when. Went to a lot of games at the Polo Grounds that I have at least heard stories about. The Giants moved to Frisco when my dad was 12. So, yeah, and this speaks to me in a lot of ways, this card, and so it's my favorite card for a lot of reasons. Yeah, it's just a fantastic card of, beyond the kind of familial generational thing. It's just a fantastic card with the yellow and, greatest living ball player and arguably the greatest five-tool player and player period to ever play the game. So 54 Topps Willie Mays is my favorite card in my collection. Now, second place, my second favorite card is a real tough one. And I've actually been kind of mulling it over, here and there for the last couple of days when I've had a little time to think about it. And finally, I kind of settled on my first vintage buying experiences. So, I don't have a Yankee card to show here, which is kind of odd in a way because I'm a Yankees fan. But favorite card in my collection is, it could go in a bunch of different directions, but I kind of went back to my first vintage card buying experiences, which were before I left the hobby, so I started going to card shows with my dad and brother in the late 80s and then early 90s. So 89, 88, 89, 90, maybe 91. 91 Topps was the last set I actively was interested in collecting a little bit because I just love the design of that set. And so, it was about a 29, 28 year dormancy for me in the hobby. So, but I did start dabbling in vintage at some of those shows. And this is the first card that I know I bought. This was my first vintage pickup, which I've mentioned before, and I've shared this a couple of times. My 1963 Stan Musial. It was in a screw down holder for a very long time, and freed it and sent it in. Got a 4. I was actually hoping it would get a little bit better of a grade, but I was a little bit more of a novice in terms of the grading experience at the time when I sent it in. But I think it's still a very nice 4, and it's a special card for me in that way. So, I'm not a huge Stan Musial fan, but obviously he's one of the greatest hitters of all time. But I do love this card. I really love that it was his last card. So when I saw all the stats on the back that dated all the way to 1941, when I'm an 18-year-old kid or a 17 or 16-year-old kid looking at that back, I'm like, oh man, that is just so cool, seeing how far back it goes and seeing all those stats piled up. So that was very cool at the time, and it still is now. So this is my second favorite card, tied with another. I have to show one more because it's really a toss-up to know which one of these two are my second favorite, because this other one I'm about to show is probably, if it wasn't my second vintage card I purchased right around that same era, it was probably the third one. And I really just like the makeup of this card. I think it's one of his best, in my opinion. That's the 1967 Topps Hank Aaron. I've always loved this card ever since I got it way back at that time when I was a late teenager. I just think it's a great swing pose of him. I like the tight crop of that, so it's not full length or zoomed out a little bit more. I like how his arm and shoulder are kind of tightly cropped a little bit. I don't know. It just kind of, there's a little bit more action in that swing pose than maybe there normally would be if it was like zoomed out more. I just really love this card. I like the overall, the 67 design has really grown on me since I got back in the hobby. I mean, I always thought it was sort of interesting, but at the same time, it was almost the string of sets where from like 66 to 69, they were almost, some might call them a little dry or boring, not as vibrant for top sets. But I think of those four, 66, 67, 68, 69, 67 is my favorite of those four by a lot. I actually like how it plays up the photograph a lot more. And I do like, the block team name is in different colors, at least for teams. Like I know in 69 they're all in yellow, so it doesn't really lend itself to variety. And I kind of like the name and position up top. It's like subtle, but there it just really emphasizes the photograph if it's a good shot. And 67 has some pretty good photography, I think. So anyway, these two are a tie for second. Willie's number one. So there's my VR, Darren. Happy to do it. Happy to take a few minutes. I'll always be up for showing these three cards whenever I can. So again, congrats on 600. I know you're getting a good amount of VRs, which is awesome. Look forward to watching a few more. And thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you on my next video. Take care.